and only have it be around for like a couple months. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that with Verdansk. 6 months, particularly, I would be surprised because it would be weird to change your big map halfway through the game's life cycle.
Yeah.
But if Verdansk releases, let's say March 2025, I would be completely unsurprised if Avalon released the same day we get COD 2025, which would be whatever, November 10th or something. So that would be still fairly short. I mean, it would be March to November, let's say. We are live, boys and girls. Welcome to the Dropshot Call of Duty Podcast, episode number 439. My name is Casey, also known as Razinon. Today, I'm joined by Tanner once again, and we have an episode for you.
We got something, yeah.
And girl.
Mm-hmm.
We have a piece of content. We have a video and an audio file.
Yeah.
Will it rise to the level of episode remains to be seen. That's a good point. So, here's the deal. We were planning on doing first impressions of Season 4 Reloaded today. And we're going to sort of do that, but there are going to be some caveats. So Tanner's been working a lot lately, and at his other job, and for the podcast, we've been doing that stuff too. And then in addition to that, he's in the midst of getting his house, his mom's house, like built. So they have to I don't know. You can get more into it if you want, but basically the contractors are making mistakes or they're asking questions.
It's just not even that. It's at the point of the build where it's getting to the end, and it comes to all the selection. So we have to do things like, we already picked out the flooring, but do cabinet design with a cabinet shop, pick types of tile for 3 different rooms, pick interior doors, pick handle sets, pick this, pick that, pick finishes of things, pick paint colors, pick cabinet colors, pick cabinet stain colors. So it's just basically any minute that I'm not recording on the pod or at work is that pretty much. Yeah, that's what's been going on for pretty much the last month plus for me, and it'll probably continue to be that way for the next 30 to 45, maybe even 60 days, because it's like cabinet design, the shop's 25 minutes away. There's like 1 day a week that my wife and I can both go. So it's just basically been, I've been incredibly busy all the time. Like I don't even turn my computer on most days anymore. I turn my computer on like the days of the pod and that's it. So like basically I haven't had time. I played 3 matches of Warzone probably in the last 2 weeks because I just don't have time. If I'm not at work or like if we're not recording something, I'm doing something with that always. Like my last day off, we went for 5 hours and looked at quartz and tile. It's just like that's all we've been doing because we have to get it figured out because they need this stuff ASAP.
Yeah, you don't want to delay the project, obviously. Yeah. So anyway, that's been the case. It will be for Tanner, as he just said, for a while longer. But eventually that'll end, and he's going to have more time to, game and stuff. And luckily, even if there are more delays, he'll be ready before BO6 launches, so that's going to be good. But in my case as well, I've been very sick lately. I'm probably more sick than I've ever been right now. I have a cold, but I'm not talking about that. I have colitis as well, and that's really bad right now. That's been sapping my energy. Actually, I'm not trying to get sympathy or whatever, but I'm just telling you why I have not played very much either. I have not had the inclination to at all. especially playing KBAM, it takes some energy to like do. And in addition to that, none of the boys are playing really either. So the prospect of getting on, for example, this update didn't really change anything. We're going to get into it. And playing for a couple hours solo has just not been super attractive, especially when I am as run down as I am right now. So,
Bro's run down, huh?
Yeah. So if you want more details on that, we're going to do one more Patreon episode this month, as you know, as we've been saying, and it's going to be Resurgent Strategy Guide. And luckily we got Moose to collaborate, who does play a lot and has been playing a lot and is very good. We've already talked about that. I'll talk about it more in that episode. But that is coming out tomorrow, on Sunday, the last day of the month. And if you guys want more details on, you know, how I'm feeling and the timetable on that and all that, I will let you know. I'll tell you guys more about it there, because I don't think most of you really care, nor should you. But the point I'm raising is, this is why neither of us have really played this update very much yet. Eventually we will, obviously. And I don't know what my timetable looks like, because for reasons I'll get into in that bonus episode that's coming out tomorrow. But it should hopefully be fairly soon, or I'll just die. It's actually just one of those two.
One of those two. That's good.
So,
yeah. Well, at least it'll be all figured out.
Yeah, we will be reaching a conclusion soon. Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, I'll get more into that in that episode. But that is kind of where we are starting from. I know when we do these first impressions, I always like to start the episode by telling you guys what we have and have not engaged with. And so, in the interest of full disclosure, we're telling you this now. And another thing also, we've been trying to like play more, especially this month. We did a whole behind the scenes episode on this. And then that's been really important to us, and it does continue to be. It's just right now the mitigating circumstances are insurmountable. There's nothing we can do. I mean, Tanner has to go to work, and Tanner has to pick out the stuff for the house, and then I, have to get better.
You have to stay alive.
I have to not die. Yeah. So we remain as committed as we said we would be. Trust me. And I apologize if this is frustrating to you. But despite that, we have done what we can. And in my case, and in Tanner's, that has been obviously being familiar with the patch notes, but also I've spent the last 2 days watching streams, kind of to see what the landscape looks like, even if I'm not playing myself. And then also watched a True Game Data video this morning as well on like the long range weapon meta. He also did one on the short range weapon meta, but I didn't watch it on principle because there's nothing interesting in that episode or in that video. I guarantee it. The Super is still the best gun, so we'll get into it.
Yeah.
So, the reason I'm bringing this up is, despite not having played yet, I still think we have some things to say, and I've done my best to, research what the landscape looks like. And so, with that in mind, we're going to get into it. So, and then at the end, by the way, because there won't be that much to say, both in terms of us not having played, but also or not played much. I think Tanner's played a little bit post update. Also, the update being very small. So like, even if we played for 8 hours, this would be a short segment. We're going to also sprinkle in a couple other little topics toward the end so that this episode isn't 10 minutes long. So,
that'd be good. Yeah, that'd be smart.
Yeah. So stick around for that. If you're not super interested in the first impressions, there is some Verdansk discussion and BO6 stuff that we want to get into at the end. So we're going to start though with first impressions. And you know, we've gone over the patch notes, and as we said at that time, yeah, not a great update for Warzone. You know,
Yeah, nothing.
not much going on. So I mean, yeah, we said this on Thursday. Like there really wasn't much new content added. We got a minimal amount of weapon balance that actually isn't that impactful. That was our prediction. Guess what? We were correct. I'll get into that in a second. And then also, there wasn't any other actual new content. There was the new shotgun. No one's using it. There's a new melee weapon, Super Giga Omega don't care.
Yeah.
And then there is a POI paint job at Popov, and then some little rat tunnels that no one cares about. And that's it. And that's it. So, I mean, yeah, the update is not really an update. Doesn't feel much different than it did before the season. And then again, when I look at streams or when I watch that True Game Data video, that pretty much all the data seems to comport with that. I mean, no one's using really anything different at all. We're going to get into it. There are a couple little interesting things I want to talk about, but this is, and for all of you who have been playing, you've already noticed this. This is a very minor update. So.
From watching the streams, have you noticed a lot less people using the Car 98 though?
I don't know about a lot less, but fewer. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not as insane as it was before.
Yeah.
No, but there are still quite a few people using it for sure. Yeah. Yeah. As expected, because like we talked about, it didn't get nerfed enough. It like obviously, and like even I was watching Teep. He was playing Urzikstan Trios. Guess what he was using? Car 98 and a Superi.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, the car got nerfed, especially for controller players, which Teep is, but also Teep is good. So the nerf for him is a lot less consequential than it would be for like a, you know, I don't know, 0.6 Warzone car user. The nerf was a lot more substantial for that person. But for like decent players or good players, the types of players that will be in most of your guys' lobbies, I should say, because if you listen to a Call of Duty podcast, you definitely skew better than average. Meaning, SBMM is putting good players in your lobby because you're a good player. Meaning, that car nerf isn't really going to feel like very much of a nerf. The only, I think, real thing it did is there are quite a few less people using it on like big map than they were before, based on, again, the streams I've been watching and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's actually maybe the biggest change, and it's not, I mean, not super impactful, obviously.
No.
So.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I saw some other people talking about it on Twitter too. It's just like, we've said it a bunch of times, but still, it's like, we used to get weekly updates during Caldera, weekly weapon balance updates that would literally change more than what we just got in a Season Reloaded update.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what?
Sure.
What was this update?
Yes, we did. Like in Caldera, Raven did a lot. They did the most, some might say. Did they do too much? Yes, definitely. And if you go listen to our episodes from that era, we say as much. But when you make 500 changes per month to Warzone, you can't accuse it of getting boring. Or at least stale at all. And it really wasn't. So there would usually be, I'm not kidding, there was an era of a couple months where there would be some weapon balance change 2 times in a week, every week.
Yeah.
on average. Like there was an era. It wasn't the whole time Caldera was in the game, but there were a couple months where it was like twice a week they would do weapon balance.
Yeah.
And maybe it wouldn't be every weapon or whatever, but they would do something. And that is gone now. But when that was the case, there would often be a weapon balance update where they would, I don't know, nerf 3 guns and buff 4. And that's all. They wouldn't do a POI change. They wouldn't paint a POI green and add tunnels underneath it. We would get no new content, quote unquote. But merely doing a weapon balance change actually was more content than what we got, for example, in this patch. Because even though we didn't get a POI update, everyone's gun changed, including yours. So it was actually more impactful, despite being way less work.
Yeah.
And way less shiny and sparkly. And again, I'm not asking for a massive, bevy of content or even weapon balance really for a Season Reloaded patch. But I do want enough weapon balance to where the grossly overpowered guns get nerfed and or the grossly underperforming guns get buffed. And we just have not gotten that. So when we look at like the full auto meta, for example, and I do want to point this out actually as well. I don't know who it was or where, but when we were doing our last episode, someone said, either in Discord or in live chat, the MCW, since it got buffed again, is actually pretty competitive as like a long range AR now. And you guys are like underselling it. And I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. And whatever data that person provided, they showed me graphs. I was like, oh, that does look kind of compelling. Turns out it's not, because literally no one's using it still. And True Game Data, huge nerd. I don't know if he even mentioned it in his video.
It was on one of his charts because I started watching it, but yeah, I don't know if he actually talked about it.
If he did, it was at the bottom of the top like 8 or whatever. But it was not close to being the gun you should be using at all. So if you've been hoodwinked in this way, stop using it. Now I could be wrong by virtue of True Game Data being wrong, but I very much doubt that. That guy is frankly too meticulous, and it makes watching his videos kind of like a 300 level college course. But if he missed it, then I mean, yeah, you can cut me some slack. But no one's using it still, and it didn't make his top 5 guns.
Yeah, J God didn't talk about it either.
Right. With one exception that I'm going to get into later, which is the conversion kit. But again, we'll get into that later. But the normal MCW, I know you want a kilo, guys, but it's still not there. So what is the full auto meta right now? If you want to do that, which, to be fair, is a lot more viable now. Mainly because getting people using a car to flinch actually matters now. And it didn't matter before the nerf. I think that's like arguably the biggest nerf with the car is that you used to be able to just headshot people through flinch if you were on controller using a car. Can't really do that now because the aim assist got nerfed. So that does make full auto guns more viable, but that's provided you can start landing shots on someone aiming at you. And a lot of times that doesn't happen, obviously. But when you can, here are the guns that are in the mix. And this is backed up by, again, a lot of meticulous data. The Holger 5.56, which is the Holger AR. This seems to be the most popular option, I would say, for full auto guns that I've seen. Which makes sense because it is a very bog standard AR that is pretty easy to use. It is pretty plug and play. And there are advantages to that. And when you look at all the other options, there are some significant downsides that I don't think their Holger 5.56 really has. So the Holger 26, It's a lot slower than that gun. The SVA still, but then you have to do the burst fire thing where you set it to semi-auto and then like burst tap it. So that's a little quirk, but it's still good. And then to the MTZ 556 as well. But this is not different really than before the season 4 update.
Yeah.
The only reason these have become slightly more relevant is not because any of these guns changed in a significant way. Because I think the Holger 26 got like a 10% stomach buff or something. Maybe a couple of those other ARs got a slight buff or nerf as well, but very small one. But rather that becomes more relevant again because of the car nerf, which I think is fair, but you know, it's not a different full auto meta than before is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, really, though, on paper, actually, the MCW is basically almost the same as everything else, really. I mean, the MCW and the Holger 26 are virtually the same gun when looking at the stats.
I think it's probably the multipliers, right? Or its multipliers bad?
I don't know. The MCW actually gets better with headshots a little bit. I don't know, but
Really?
it doesn't... Yeah, it doesn't look that bad. It's still just like that close damage range, and still like the Holger 556 is a lot better. Like at range. The thing with the MCW2 is like when it's got the damage drop off, there is a range for maybe 10, 12 meters or so where it's like a lot worse than everything else. So if you're in that weird range too, around like the 35 to 45 meter range, which is probably a pretty common engagement distance, it sucks at that range too. And then once it gets to that long damage range, then it's fairly in line with a lot of the other guns, Holger 26, Holger 556, MTZ, etc. But yeah, J-God also never mentioned it. But yeah, it just it doesn't feel good at all to me. Well, I haven't used this in this update, but the gun just hasn't felt good ever really. And
It appears
it hasn't
to
changed
be
up close.
Yeah. It also has the worst stomach multiplier
It does.
of everything.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It gets terrible with the stomach shot.
Yeah, which is probably a big deal.
Like really bad.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be my assumption.
Yeah, so maybe that's
I don't
it
know.
too. But
yeah, maybe JGod and True Game Data are both wrong to not be talking about this. It's happened before, but
I mean, it's just more like when the Holger 556 is so easy to use, and it also just kills faster, then yeah, there almost is no reason to even talk about the MCW. Yeah.
And with every...
And if you hit headshots, it kills even faster.
Every hitbox.
Yeah. But yeah, MCW is...
literally every hitbox, yeah.
It seems viable now, I guess, but yeah. And it is like, looking at this here too, it's like between about like 40 meters, yeah, like 40 to like 60 or so, the MCW is quite a bit worse than everything else. Like killing like over 100 milliseconds slower than a Holger 556. And between 40 and 60 meters, that is a very common engagement distance for ARs, especially if you're playing like Rebirth or something. So yeah. I don't know. Probably not really, probably shouldn't be using it, but it's not as terrible as I thought it would be too.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I will say, it's just the problem is, yeah, the Holger 556 kills faster at every range for every hitbox also. So if you hit all chest, all upper leg, all lower arm, all stomach, at any range, literally, except for these 2 meters if you're hitting all lower leg shots. So, okay. Basically every range. The Holger 556 kills faster.
Yeah.
So when that's the case, the real only reason you'd want to use an MCW instead is if you are able to hit more shots with it than a Holger 556 reliably.
Yeah.
Which for a Holger 556, I don't see that being true for most players.
If you can hit your shots
to use.
Yeah. If you can hit your shots with an MCW, you can certainly hit your shots with the Holger 556 easily as well.
Right. So that's kind of that. Yeah.
He even talked a little bit about the subverter, and that's still good as well. But what it came down to there was the average accuracy for controller players and K-Band players is lower with the subverter versus all these other guns, because again, a weirder recoil pattern, a little bit harder to use. So that's kind of generally why it doesn't come highly recommended, because you'll just miss a lot more shots with it.
And it's probably slower than every other option we've mentioned too. That sucker is bulky.
Except for
but
maybe
it does
the
kill
Holger
quite
26,
quick.
but I don't know.
Yeah. And then one other gun he mentioned that we haven't talked about was the TAC Evolver, actually.
Yeah.
He said that was pretty decent as well.
You know who Gigadad is?
Eradicator. I always get those all mixed up.
He talked about the Evolver. J-God talked about the Eradicator, which I think the Evolver feels better than the Eradicator. The Eradicator is the one with the default 75-round drum mag that has the variable fire rate. Evolver is the big chunky LMG. I don't know if you ever watch like Gigadad or you see his clips. He's like the guy who all he does is win. He has a ton of nukes. He just knows how to win. He's a very smart player. He's been using the Evolver for the last 2 seasons. That is his main gun. He uses a 150 round mag or whatever with it because he's always on a roof shooting down on people. He's always in a 1v4, and it works really well for him. And it's kind of always made me think, like, I should try this more. And I've used it in the past, like, tried it. I'm like, it just feels like it does not kill well enough. But for some people, it seems to make sense, Easy to use, so much damage per magazine.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, anyway, there you go. But overall, again, I can't stress this enough. If you play on keyboard and mouse and you were using the car before, don't stop using it. It's better than everything we've just talked about. Easily.
Yeah.
Super easily. You're still two-shotting people everywhere. And it's no harder for you to aim than it was before. Because the biggest nerf was to the aim assist. And if you're on keyboard and mouse, obviously you didn't have that regardless. So the only nerf K-Bam got was that your one-hit kill range was brought in a little bit, which is something, but it's not much. So that is still absolutely the best gun for you to be using, at least for sure on Urzikstan. Maybe also on Rebirth Ranked, by the way. We'll talk about that more in our Patreon episode, but it's quite viable in Ranked, even though it can't one-shot. If you have 3 people on Rebirth using it and they're like top prison, especially in Resurgence with how often people are not full health, then it doesn't matter if it doesn't one shot. It does 299 damage. So if you hit a headshot, you're getting a down anyway. Actually, probably 50% of the time on some random guy, because people are way less likely to be full health when you shoot them. But even if they are full health, if you get them 1 bullet and like 3 of you are sniping from like a rooftop, that guy's gonna die. Whether it's you hitting a second shot, one of your teammates hitting a shot, or someone else in Rebirth just sneezing on him, he'll die. And even if you don't get kill credit on your scoreboard, you'll get kill SR because you did damage to him before he died. So it's still very viable on Rebirth, even though it can't one shot. And that likewise has not changed for K-Bam. For controller, I think that's changed a lot because you're going to be experiencing flinch and not being able to shoot through it like you used to more often on Rebirth than you were before. So I would say for controller players, if you're using the car before, try it on Rebirth, but you're not going to be able to hit shots through flinch anymore. And that is probably a big deal. So something to keep in mind.
You talk about flinch a lot. I don't even necessarily think it really comes down to the flinch that much. It's just more you don't have aim assist on the gun anymore, period.
Well, that too, of course.
I think that's like realistic. Like even when I use like the car, especially on big map on Rebirth, I don't play a ton of Rebirth, but like big map, when I'm using the car, I'm like never getting shot anyways. I shoot the person 2 times and they're down. So like flinch doesn't even come into play half the time, honestly. But Yeah, if you really think you're doing as well with the car as you were then before the Season 4 Reloaded update, then yeah, obviously just continue to use it. But for the vast majority of you, whether you admit it or not, or notice it or not, you're probably doing quite a bit worse with the car. Like if you could look at an accuracy stat in game, your accuracy is probably literally like 15 to 20% lower than it was. It's probably a pretty big difference. But if you really think you're doing that well with it, then yeah, obviously continue to use it. If you immediately know you're missing shots, use one of the other full auto guns we just talked about.
Yeah, I agree. Just give it a try. If you were doing well before the patch, try it for a couple games again, see how you're doing, and then just be willing to switch off of it. So anyway, moving on to the SMG meta, there's nothing to say. It's still the Super E, and it's not even close. The gun literally wasn't even changed at all. They did nothing to it, and so
yeah, it wasn't even in the patch notes, right?
No, it wasn't in the patch notes. They did nothing to it. So they also nerfed some other or buffed some other SMGs. Did they make them as good as the Super E? Sure didn't. No. It's kind of like the HCR was for a while, where it's just very well rounded, does well pretty much no matter what you want it to do, and has a great time to kill also. And there's really not much reason to use another gun unless you're looking for like a niche use case. For example, again, like I said on Thursday, you might want to use the Horus conversion kit if you're like sniping, because it has more range. And I would argue is also even easier to control with the conversion kit, actually. Or the aftermarket part. I think it's both. I don't know. Whatever. The aftermarket part. Than the Super E. And it has more ammo. And again, more range. So like that is probably worth considering.
Yeah.
I also find it way more fun to use. I really like the Horus conversion kit. It feels really good. But in the Super E's first damage range, which is pretty good, by the way, it kills faster still than the Horus. So you would be giving that up. But there is like a use case for the Horus. And that's not to say anything about the handling stats. Sprint to fire, ADS time. I'm sure the Super is better on both of those, at least on sprint to fire. So it's not going to be as good up close, basically. And then the striker, the ump. I mean, 10% more tummy damage doesn't make it better than the Super E by any means. And then the Rival 9 max damage range went from 12.19 to 12.7 meters. Got it. That also didn't make it better than the Super E. So, therefore, use the Super E still. 99% of you, 99% of the time. It's still the best gun. And that's still what everyone's using as they should be. It's just too good. And literally nothing changed there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to announce that Smooth Sack Summer is officially upon us. When you're playing in the summer sun, make sure you're groomed from pubes to bum. Thanks to our friends at Manscaped, you can make this season your smoothest yet. The Performance Package 5.0 Ultra is the ultimate bundle to keep your boys downstairs cool while looking hot. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer. 20% off and free shipping when you go to manscaped.com and use code DROPSHOT. Summertime and the trimming is easy. The Manscaped Performance Package 5.0 Ultra. It has everything you need to prepare for that summer bod. Every man knows how scary it can get when going for a close shave below the belt. That's why I trust Manscaped for all of my sensitive little areas. Inside this package, you will find the star of the show, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Their 5th generation trimmer features 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little off the top, and a new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. We also have dual LED spotlights to provide contrast on multiple skin tones, 3 length-setting combs, and oh, did I mention, the trimmer is waterproof. So the beach, lake, shower, this razor will devour even the strongest pubes. Now that you have the perfect haircut, use Manscaped's liquid formulations to keep that freshness even at the hottest summer barbecues. The Crop Soother Aftershave Lotion and Crop Preserver Anti-Chafe Ball Deodorant. Once they touch your sack, you'll never go back, ever. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts with their Performance Package 5.0, the Manscaped Boxers, which are excellent, guys, and the Shed Travel Bag. More wet products, say no more. Manscaped's new Buff Bundle is all you need to keep the summer heat a breeze. This bundle includes their signature silicone scrubber and body wash. Ditch your nasty, disgusting loofah and grab a taste of freshness. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code DROPSHOT at manscaped.com. 20% off, free shipping. Use code DROPSHOT at manscaped.com. It's smooth sack summer, boys. Get on board or get left behind.
The only caveat I'll add is this: the MCW conversion kit, which I kind of mentioned earlier. Now, it didn't change, and it hasn't changed in quite a while. However, actually, it did change because the MCW got buffed. Minimum damage increase and increased bullet velocity. That's for the base gun. Now, keep in mind, if the base gun changes, that does apply to attachments, including the conversion kit. So the biggest weakness of the MCW conversion kit was low bullet velocity. Well, now it has 40 more meters per second. Does that make it usable as your primary on Urzikstan? No. But it does make it more usable, which I think it was even usable before, as your primary on Rebirth. Yes, primary. And it also makes it better as your secondary on Urzikstan if you wanted to use it like as sniper support or something. I don't think the minimum damage matters too much, because with the conversion kit, I'm not really sure how often you're hitting people that far away. Again, because of that low velocity.
Yeah.
But with all of that said, it kills faster than everything up to like 28 meters.
Yeah, it is. It is really good. I don't really know why people stopped running it. I mean, well, even I stopped running it. For me, I think what it was, it's been a little while now, but I'm pretty sure I felt like at those longer ranges, yeah, like 25, 30 meters, I felt like I was actually missing a lot more shots for some reason. Even though it is really, really good, it's great on paper, it's an excellent close range option. A lot of people just stopped using it for weeks. So yeah, I guess probably because the Season Reloaded update and nothing changed, some people kind of just took it upon themselves to try something different or something they hadn't used. Because yeah, it's been really, really good. But
yes,
a lot of people just got off it. So excellent option for sure.
It is an excellent option, and that I just wanted to point that out because yeah, besides like the MCW buff we got with this update, that conversion kit has not changed for quite a while, and it's always kind of been good. The time to kill on it, again, is disgusting. And if you can deal with its downsides, depending on what you're doing, I would strongly encourage you now more than ever to go try it again. If you're like bored and you want like a new long-range Rebirth option, I used it before, like, you know, a while ago, and talked about it. I think it was on Patreon. It does have low bullet velocity, but it's still usable on Rebirth as your long-range gun. And I was still able to, like, for example, be on the roof of Control and just beam people on the roof of Prison. And that's pretty far. That's like, what, 60 meters maybe? So yeah. It's not like unusably low velocity for that map, I don't think, as a long-range option. You could also use it as sniper support on Rebirth. It's scary because it's slower than an SMG, obviously. So you're not going to be able to just like run into rooms and use it. But if you're able to pre-fire a close-range gunfight, its time to kill is better than everything. So you will win if your gun is ready against SMGs, assuming you're hitting equal shots. But just I'm pointing out that don't forget about it and check it out if you want a new long-range Rebirth option. I think it's possible. Or even like a sniper support option on Rebirth, maybe. Or more so as a secondary on Urzikstan. I think it's an exceptional option. Because there, unless you push buildings all the time, you can be ready most of the time on Urzikstan if you want to be for those up close gunfights, which will mitigate the fact that it's not an SMG, and therefore it has bad sprint to fire and like ADS time compared to an SMG. And then the upside is, if you see someone at 20 meters, you're not going to be able to headshot them anymore because the car aim assist nerf. But you will be able to kill them way faster than they kill you if you have an MCW conversion kit. So look into it. That's all I'm saying.
It's really not slow at all. Actually, that was one of the things that I ended up not liking about it is the ADS, like the strafe speed, basically. The ADS movement speed combined with the terrible velocity is exactly why I felt like I missed a lot of shots at the longer ranges, being like 20, 30 meters or so, because of that exact reason. Because it ended up being hard to track, in my opinion, because your strafe speed was so fast for a gun with that low of velocity when you're trying to shoot somebody that far away. So I never thought it felt slow at all. In fact, the ADS time is barely slower than an SMG by default. So I guess it depends how you're building everything. If you're building like an SMG for full mobility, then, you know, I guess it's going to feel slower, but I don't build SMGs that way at all. So I guess I'm kind of used to it. Like I even run like optics and stuff. Like I'm not using fast attachments on most SMGs. I would prefer like the control typically. So for me, the MCW conversion kit always felt extremely fast actually. So I think it is, it is really, really good. And that's what we talked about a long time ago when we were running it too, is like what you were saying, because the audio was at one point so good on Urzik stand that you knew somebody was coming. I wasn't getting caught off guard, so I would just ADS and I'm ready to go. And I'm killing that guy faster than he's killing me, like 100% of the time, unless he's using an MCW, because it kills that much faster. It's really, really good.
Yeah. So don't sleep on that. Or if you're just like annoyed at how little changed with this update, go back to it. It's a fun little spice up.
Yeah.
And unlike an off-meta gun that's terrible, which is what a lot of people do, this is an off-meta gun that's actually really good. Just takes a little kind of getting used to. You got to alter your playstyle slightly, maybe. So, anyway. And then that's pretty much it. I mean, again, for like Warzone, what else changed? I haven't gone to the new POI. Haven't seen it. Don't care to. Maybe there's something crazy down there. I doubt it. Haven't heard anything about it.
There's something underground, man.
Haven't seen streamers going there. No one cares. Okay. And then there's the LTM, which I haven't played either, which I won't be playing. Even if I play 8 hours a day, I will not be playing Mutation Resurgence, where people can get active camos like I'm playing Halo 2 again. No thanks. I'll go play Halo if I want to do that. But I don't want to play Halo. I want to play COD, so I won't be playing that. Especially because it's at Popov. Which makes sense for the lore, because that's what like had the whatever DNA bust or whatever. By the way, DNA explosion, that's kind of unfortunate, isn't it? What does that make you think of? You know? Ask your mom. So anyway, other than that, yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's specialists in bunkers. Okay. That makes bunkers more worth going to than they were before, but you should have been going to bunkers kind of anyway, most of the time that you have them. The key cards, I should say. And then the redacted weapons, which, you know, again, not super impactful.
Yeah, cool early game, but aside from that, nothing. And yeah, pretty much to get specialists, too. I don't know if they spawn in the regular part of the bunker, but there's like another little, it's called, I think, the treasury room. I think that's what it was called. When I went into the one bunker, there's another door that then requires another key card to access. And I think that's the only spot the specialist bonus spawns. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you have to get 2 total bunker key cards to get specialist bonus. So there we go.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah, that makes it even. Okay. And then a couple other things I've noticed watching streamers and stuff. Another thing we did get that changed was the C4 nerf.
Yeah.
Now, again, for lobby, I don't think this was ever really relevant for like pubs or whatever, but what I'm seeing people use now for lethals, even like World Series of Warzone players who are like preparing for that, they've also likewise gotten off of C4. Now, granted, they're playing pubs, but I don't think they're going back to C4. what they are using now are thermites. So everyone I've watched playing on Urzikstan has been using thermites.
Yeah.
I think that's a good option. And
Yeah.
also on
Thermites are
Rebirth,
good.
actually, Symphony was using thermites as well for ranked Rebirth. So yeah, C4s are out. If you were using them, they are not worth using anymore. And I would say thermites are probably your best option in general now.
Yeah.
That seems to be what the good players think, which does make sense. It gives a lot of utility, and it does a lot of damage, obviously.
And I think we talked about it at some point, but it does. If you get stuck with a thermite, it doesn't full kill you anymore. You get downed and you'll still be alive. Whereas for like the past 3 seasons or so, if you got stuck with a thermite,
you have EOD.
I don't believe so. No.
Interesting.
And they never talked about it in the patch notes, from what I remember, because when we first noticed it, Jake stuck somebody, because we'd been thinking it. I'm like, I swear I've stuck this guy, and he didn't get full killed. And then Jake did it to somebody else, and he didn't get full killed either. So, don't think they ever mentioned it, but that's been fixed at some point too. Fixed or altered on accident, I don't know, but that's now how it works. The devs don't know.
Bug
You
or
can't ask
feature.
them either. Yeah. Because we don't know if it was bug to begin with or if it was a feature to begin with, yeah.
Right. So, anyway. And then one other observation I've made. This was pretty interesting. I was watching Metaphor. He was playing with his friend Reeve and some other guy. They were playing Urzikstan trios. And one of them, I don't know if it was Metaphor himself or if he was spectating a teammate, but like Reeve is very good, and whoever their third was, whom I don't remember. Yeah, I think it was actually. Yeah, that guy's also probably very good.
Yeah, he is.
And they're all K-BAM, I think, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about Blue, but the other two are. Okay, so they're all K-BAM players, and one of them was using the ball, 27.
Interesting.
So is there merit to that? I don't know. However, it did get buffed with Season 4 Reloaded. Its stomach multi went from 1.0 to 1.10. So it's doing 10 more stomach damage. Does that make it good? Let's take a look at the charts real quick. What's it called again? Ball 27. Let's see. Oh, there's 2 separate. Okay.
Oh, because it's got, the fire rate changes. That's what it is, yeah.
Why don't you just implement that into your chart, you idiot? I hate Okay, well, it's hard to look at the charts because on True Game Data it has the ball and then it has the ball after 4 shots as 2 separate weapons.
Okay.
Terrible way to do that. But anyways.
It looks good, actually. Looks good both ways. I just don't know how hard it is to control. I've never built one and used one. I've only used the ground loot.
Yeah, so the ball is like the opposite of the Evolver? Eradicator, which is what I said. Which is that it's also variable fire, but instead of the first shots being fast, the first 4 shots are slow and very accurate and easy to control. And then after that, the fire rate ramps up, but it has a little more recoil. But it's not that bad, by the way. It's not crazy. It's still controllable. And its time to kill looks... I mean, maybe it's very hard to tell.
Oh, it doesn't really have a headshot multiplier
rate
either. That screws it up a lot. It doesn't have it. Yeah, I think that's what it is, kind of.
So I don't know if it's worth using. Probably not. They were probably just kind of doing a goof. But it doesn't look terrible. And if you're bored, you want to give it a shot. Metaphor did it. So, or his friends, so maybe you might want to look into it yourself. But it is by no means like a meta gun, I don't think. So, anyway.
Yeah.
And then, that's pretty much it for first impressions. So, eventually, hopefully pretty soon, Tanner and I will play more and maybe have more to say.
I'll have some time this next week, yeah. We might be able to revisit some things and talk about some more experiences.
Right. But it's not going to be super different than what we've already said. At least I can't imagine. So, stick around. We'll figure it out. But now we want to move on to some other things. So Verdansk being delayed as a big map until 2025. So we've mentioned this. I don't know if we read this article or went over it. Is that something you think we should do, Tanner?
The Insider article? Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
This is different than the tweets. Yeah.
Okay.
So let me
Can you
open
tell
this
us about
up.
this, man?
Yeah, I'm going to pull it up here. Let's do one of these little numbers so we get that pulled up. Okay. Here we go. Yes, this is from insider-gaming.com, Tom Henderson. Warzone's original map, Verdansk, is set to return in 2025. So this was posted yesterday. So he says, last night, several new rumors surfaced stating that Call of Duty's Warzone original map, Verdansk, has been delayed from its December 2024 target to early 2025. The news came courtesy of Bob Network, which Insider Gaming has been able to verify. So in December of 2023, so 7 months ago, Insider Gaming exclusively reported that Verdansk would return as the title's main map during BO6. As reported, we couldn't verify the exact release date of Verdansk, but understood that the game was to follow Warzone's traditional main map, which it usually releases in December after the new main title comes out.
Right.
So a seemingly missed target. Sources have since revealed that Verdansk was never actually intended to return to Warzone, despite the previous rumors. Instead, there was a massive pivot in late 2023 due to Fortnite OG. Fortnite OG saw the return of Fortnite's original map, which saw the game have a gigantic resurgence of players and create the biggest day in Fortnite history with over 44.7 million players. That's great. That's a big number.
That's insane.
Understandably, it's a metric that Activision wishes to replicate.
Yeah.
The pivot meant that Warzone's 2024 mainline map, Avalon, it's unclear if that's the final name, has been pushed back to 2025 Call of Duty, codenamed Saturn. So basically, it sounds like the map they were designing before they pivoted to Verdansk will be the main title for COD 2025, which has been rumored to be kind of what we had this year, which is a second year of Black Ops. So there have been some rumors about that. But it's understood that Avalon is nearly complete, but Activision is adamant to see a massive resurgence in players. In part, it could be because COD 2025 will already be leaning heavily into nostalgia with its multiplayer offering. Yeah, like I just said.
Fair point.
Officially, Activision has yet to comment on any of the rumors, but a few subtle remarks from marketing could suggest that information on Warzone could come at a much later date than usual. During the BO6 Direct, it was announced that Call of Duty Next would feature the full reveal of BO6 multiplayer, whereas in the past, they've announced that the event will contain the future of Warzone. Interesting. I didn't notice that. In addition, one developer during the Direct asked production, am I allowed to talk about Warzone yet? In which affirmed no can be heard from those behind the camera. Yeah, that's right. We did talk about that.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Interesting.
I think not. Yeah, so one thing I'd like to point out, first of all, is Verdansk was never actually intended to return until they saw Fortnite OG map and how successful that was. That makes me furious. Because did you imbeciles really need to see another game nostalgia bait to recognize that that was a good play? Like, we all knew, certainly you and I did, bringing back Verdansk at any time was going to have a massive resurgence in players because you would be getting that nostalgia hit.
Yeah.
And it would get a ton of people to come back. The fact that they needed to see Fortnite do it to even conceive of that idea infuriates me. How stupid are you guys? That you like, oh, that's a good idea. That didn't occur to you before this? That's insane. Get smarter people working there, but okay, whatever. Another interesting thing, though, is that their other big map that they were planning prior to having this revelation is almost done. So if they still do bring back Verdansk, which I think they will, and that's what Tom Henderson thinks. And by the way, Tom Henderson, Insider Gaming, friend of the pod, the only reputable leaker. He's gotten basically nothing wrong. The only thing he did get wrong was actually not wrong at the time he got it. It's just Activision changed their mind after he announced the leak, and then he didn't realize they had changed their mind. He didn't get a leak subsequent saying, hey, Activision changed their mind. So he's really like never been wrong actually about leaks. And he seems to think we are in fact still getting Verdansk and that it's been pushed back to 2025, which corroborates the rumor we talked about on Thursday, basically. And, you know, we talked about that. And if it's pretty early 2025, which he doesn't really say here, but I would assume it would be, I think that's actually overall going to be better.
Yeah, he did say early.
Oh, he did?
The article said early 2025, didn't it?
Oh, okay, good. Then, yeah. Then that's, I think, actually kind of the best case scenario, regardless, whether that was in fact a delay or not. So that's cool. But the interesting thing is, again, if their other map, Avalon, which is what they were originally going to do for BO6's Warzone map, is almost done, then they could kind of drop that whenever. Meaning, we might not have a very long life cycle for Verdansk. They might want to get those people back, get that resurgence of returning players, capitalize on that nostalgia, and then after 6 months, if all those people have left again because the nostalgia is worn off, they're gonna have another map ready to go, and it very well could be the case we only get Verdansk for like 6-9 months. Now you might be thinking, there's no way they do that. That sounds crazy. That sounds like way too much work for them to do. Okay, but remember Fortune's Keep though? Because we had the original one for, I think it was 6 months, and then they just deleted it and didn't care. Now they eventually remastered it and brought it back. That was a mistake.
Yeah, it was.
But they were willing at that time to release a new map, put in a ton of work, put in more work than they would to remake Verdansk, by the way, because that was an original map, and only have it be around for like a couple months. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that with Verdansk.
Yeah,
6
well,
months particularly, I would be surprised because it would be weird to change your big map halfway through the game's life cycle.
Yeah.
But if Verdansk releases, let's say March 2025, I would be completely unsurprised if Avalon released the same day we get COD 2025, which would be whatever, November 10th or something. So that would be still fairly short. I mean, it would be March to November, let's say. That would be a number of months. 8.
I think it would just come at the normal time, which would still mean, Verdansk we would only have it from maybe like March to December or something like that.
Or December, yeah.
But
yeah,
that won't really feel that much different than having it 12 months, to be honest, because most people just about stop playing the game towards the end of it. But
exactly, I agree.
But
I think that the important thing to point out about that is that you guys will get sick of Verdansk sooner than you would another big map, probably, because you played it before. So if you're like worried that we're going to get Verdansk back and then we're going to be stuck with it for 2 years while we wait for a new big map to be designed, I think that's an unfounded worry, given that their other map, Avalon, is almost done, which I think is actually good news, because they could choose to extend Verdansk's life cycle if they really wanted to, which I don't think they're going to want to, and I don't think the player base is going to want to either. Or they can drop Avalon, which I think is a good thing. So, I think that's kind of the most important part.
I do wonder, too, the number of casual players who are actually totally fine with having Verdansk for like a long time and they would never get sick of it, honestly. I feel like a lot of people wouldn't mind that. But
it's very hard to say right now, I think.
Yeah.
It's very hard to say.
Because they're obviously going to change the map in some way and change some things up. Yeah. So it's like, what do they do?
Horizontal zips, more vertical
Yeah,
zips,
it's just like, what POIs are they going to change? What POIs are they going to add? Is it going to be OG Verdansk? Is it going to be more Verdansk 84? Are you going to be able to look east on the map? A lot of things like that. Will the boat be there?
Yeah. Will the sun be there? Yeah.
But yeah, and then
and will they
I
fortunes
should have
keep
put
it?
this up here, so let me do this right here real quick.
That's another good question. I think that is worth mentioning. Is will they fortunes keep it? Which is to say, completely ruin it. I don't think they will, but I'm at least a little worried. Or they might fortunes keep some POIs. Because remember, original Fortunes Keep was a solid resurgence map. Not a great resurgence map, but it was solid.
It was a map.
It was a 6, maybe a 7, probably a 6.5, just because there was an entire quadrant that was terrible, which was the northwest, which was the little town, whatever it was called, terrible. So original, despite that, it was pretty good everywhere else. Not everywhere, you know what I mean. It was okay. And then the remaster, terrible. Everywhere is bad, and not good also. So will they do that to Verdansk? Not all of it, but they might ruin some POIs. They might add some goofy underground lab again. I don't know, at like farmland. And it's like, okay, I used to like that POI. That sucks because now it's awful. So I'm a little worried about that, but not too much. And there is so much they could do that who knows. Yeah, I don't know. But I think they'll go more the Rebirth Island route, which is to say minimal changes. Maybe add some new stuff. Add some things to take into account that you can swim now. I think they'll definitely do that on the outskirts. So like they added, some underground areas on Rebirth that I've still never been to, by the way, because underwater areas don't matter. Don't go there. So I still don't know what they look like on Rebirth, even though I've played hundreds of hours of Rebirth on the new updated one. Don't know what the underground areas look like, or underwater, I should say. They'll probably do the same for Verdansk when they remaster it. But I think the big question with the water, which is what Tanner brought up, is are they going to fill those wash? What are those things called? We have them a lot in LA.
The wash.
Yeah. Is it like a wash? If you guys have ever seen
they call it the
musical,
LA River, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah. If you guys have musical adaptation into a movie then call where I think like race cars there.
There of movies that have been filmed. Yeah. TVs.
Anyway, Verdansk, are they going to fill that with one question Tanner brought up? I think
certainly
interesting. Anyway.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah.
The next thing here, so so with that, since delayed, what's going to happen is Urzik staying until then, obviously. Stan is staying until the Verdansk and will receive gameplay and updates along with starting season 1 of BO6. Wow. But it's like, this is coming from the Ghost of Hope. Like, I've seen other leakers say that's like, oh, it'll get map updates. And it's like, well, will it really? Because if they're just going to remove the map 2 months later, what kind of drastic updates are they really going to make to it? I don't know. And then also Treyarch, obviously there's going to be another Resurgence map. So Treyarch has developed or is developing a Resurgence map. As of now, its code name or the actual name will be called Area 99. There is zero info besides the name, but obviously, yes, there will be a new Resurgence map at some point in the BO6 life cycle. That's not surprising, but
Area 99 gives me heavy, like Area 56 vibes.
Area 51.
Like secret military, which is what I said. Secret military installation.
Area
aliens
56.
and VATS.
Holy hell, man.
I was thinking of
the Holger 56 plus the 5, so the Holger 556. That's what you were thinking, maybe?
Right, yeah. I was going to say Hangar 18, but it doesn't make any sense.
Holger 51.
Anyways, the point is it gives me those vibes.
Yeah,
'Cause it's
some
called
weird.
area
Yeah,
number.
and they love doing stuff with like, oh, there's chemicals. They're
Treyarch
growing
loves that
something
stuff,
here.
yeah.
Okay, but whatever. It's a resurgence map. It'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, and so somebody else like replied to Ghost of Upsweet, and they're like, no BR rank this year is a bummer. I'd at least love for them to say why. So yeah, so Ghost of Hope claims that Urzikstan ranked was canceled because they originally were planning for Verdansk to be out in time, but since Verdansk has been delayed, they're kind of going back on that, and now that's why they've been claiming, kind of saying, oh, BR ranked is coming later this year. You know, details will come at some point in this year. Ranked will be later this year because ranked play will release on Urzikstan probably, but it might not be until like December with BO6 when BO6 integrates into the game. So sure, we might have ranked this year on Urzikstan, but it might be on like December 14th. So yeah. That's what's happening. So that means probably we have another 2 more seasons of Rebirth ranked. I don't see them just removing it at this point. We're just still going to have Rebirth ranked, and less people will play it in Season 5, and even less people will play it in Season 6.
And you know what? At this point, I think this is actually a good play. Because why give us ranked now, like in Season 5, and then it's like, okay, we have ranked for like 2 seasons, but in Season 5 it doesn't work, and you can exploit it massively, so the leaderboard doesn't matter for Season 5. So then it actually works for 1 season, Season 6. No one cares anymore. We're all playing the beta. We're playing early access zombies and campaign.
Yeah.
And then BO6 launches, and then ranked is gone for big map. So we had it for like whatever, 3 weeks functionally. It's like, okay, at this point, just wait. And waiting till Season 1, I think, is a good idea too. So they can do the integration on launch of Omni movement and the new weapons and stuff, attachments. Have the preseason, Season 0, be built toward ironing out all the bugs and stuff that are going to crop up by virtue of that. And then by the time Season 1 launches, hopefully the game's functional. Then you could add ranked play on big map. It'll be a broken disaster for Season 1. And then Season 2 comes out, and maybe we get Verdansk at that point. But now we're already done with the integration and the movement and the ranked play rule set and game mode. So now you're only doing one big thing at a time. I actually think ultimately that's probably going to be better than them just biting off, again, way more than they can chew. This sounds very realistic and sober and likely to me, honestly. Yeah. And at this point, again, I'm okay with it. Like, I would have loved big map ranked this year because this game's really fun, and it plays really well. And big map, I think, despite its flaws, I think once you're in a gunfight, it plays really well also, generally.
If the servers work, yeah.
When the servers work and audio works. But, it's too late now. I don't care about it anymore at this point. Just leave it Rebirth only or whatever, Resurgence only, and then we can go to big map post-integration. I think that makes sense. But what else that would mean, actually, excuse me, is it now looks pretty clear that we are not getting big map ranked until after the World Series of Warzone happens this year. Now, we don't know that for sure because technically we don't know when we're getting big map ranked. And also, technically, we don't know when the World Series of Warzone's happening. But given this leak and given how much it makes sense if it's true, I don't think we're going to have any big map ranked before the World Series of Warzone, which we've talked about before, but I just want to point out once again how completely and utterly insane that is. Just thought I'd mention it. But and that does seem to in fact be the case. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're gonna have the biggest Call of Duty tournament of the year will take place in a game mode that you can't play ranked for, even though you can play ranked Resurgence for which there will not be a tournament at all.
Yeah,
None.
it's pretty dumb.
It's just completely insane. So, okay.
Yeah, so they have to play pubs if there aren't scrims going on, and the scrims like supposedly haven't been going too well lately. Like they can't fill lobbies again. Like nobody cares. So
yeah,
and yeah, but yeah, cool.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that is it, boys and girls. We hope you enjoyed. We will be back next week. We'll post our schedule on Monday for you patrons. We're gonna have one more episode dropping tomorrow. It's going to be a rebirth strategy guide in collaboration with friend of the pod Moose. He won't be there, but we have his notes. And I haven't played much lately because I've been sick, but I have played quite a bit of rebirth ranked post season 4. Actually, I'm almost Crimson, in fact, and I really want to hit Crimson before the season ends.
You should do it, man.
I probably have plenty of time. I need like 300 SR, I think, and I have it.
That's not bad.
That would be pretty cool. To be 30 plus on KBAM and have Crimson, I think that's a massive flex. And you guys are mad and jealous.
If you get Crimson,
So
you should just
hopefully
go
I'll
for
do that.
Iridescent too.
That's 10,000 SR, man. That's a lot.
Crim is what? What does Crim start at?
75. Oh, yeah, 75.
Oh, yeah.
So I
Yeah.
have to get 2.5 thousand more after that.
It's not bad.
Which is a lot. Well, okay. Anyways, whatever. That's what we're doing on Patreon. And then we have all of our other bonus eps up. We did a huge behind the scenes episode. You guys can go check that out. And now is your last absolute chance to go try a free trial because we're disabling it in July. So love you guys. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. And, hopefully Tanner and I are able to get some time back soon. And we will, of course, keep you posted. Stay humble.
Stay humble.